Welcome back, Season 2, Episode 2 of the Get Konnected podcast. And I have the delightful Emma Preston, and we are going to be talking all things transgender. In fact, we're not going to be talking all things transgender. We're going to be talking all things human, because it's not about what you are, it's about who you are. Isn't that right, Emma?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this.
Welcome. So one of the things that a lot of people end up with misconceptions about people, because let's say those people that have only recently started following you, only just started seeing you around on social media, they'll see a incredibly confident person that is out there standing up for what they believe in. You've written an amazing book. You're now getting speaking gigs. You've got your own website just launched and all that. And so people can get this misconceived notion in and around who you are and what you are and the things that you've gone through, because we only see what we see today. And so many people are out there either building their business or struggling along in life thinking that it is just all too bloody hard and how am I going to do this thing?
Absolutely.
So I love winding the clock back and talking about where it all started, where it all began, and we can dig into some of the amazing times that you've had and some of the crap as well. So going back through your bio, let's go all the way back to when you were a kid. You're saying that by 8 you realized something wasn't quite normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as with many transgender, they may not go through the process till later on in life, Glenn, but the thing is, they tend to know what's going on to the point of something isn't right from a very early age. For me, it was around about between 7 and 8 years old. I just didn't seem to be connecting with the lads around me. I'd still play the games. I'd still play football. I'd still go out playing army, scatter, running behind the gardens, trying to not be caught by all of the neighbours. But it just didn't feel right in here. It was all right up here because, at the end of the day, even the girls played them games, Glenn. But for me, it was in my heart. It was, it was my soul that wasn't singing the right hymn. And I realized that I was getting drawn more and more to friends being girls, and also that I was more interested in the rainbow rather than the black and white and the greys. And, I wanted to experiment with this makeup. And why did I want to do that? Because my mate, Eddie, down the road, he certainly didn't. So why did I? And things like that got very, very strange. I was very drawn to wanting to try on my mum's bra. And as gross as this sounds, getting my knickers out of the laundry basket, yes, the dirty ones, until I learned that I could actually go and get some clean ones from a drawer. And then I worked it out. But the thing is, these things are the things that you don't understand. And especially back then, because you've got to remember something, Glenn, this was the 70s. This wasn't now, where I'm able to go onto a mobile phone, I'm able to go onto a computer, go down the library, I'm able to go on anywhere in the internet and understand what I think might be going on. Back then, I had literally nothing.
Yeah, and it's wrong to say that you're a product of your environment, but you're restricted by your environment because you only know what you know and by what and who's around you.
Totally. And that really is a key crux of all of this. It's difficult for people to understand the situation that transgender people, whether they may be male to female or female to male, might be going through. Because, for some people it isn't, and I use this term very loosely, it isn't normal. Okay. For me, it's perfectly normal, but it's not the usual thing that happens in society. So for me back then, product of your environment, that's the perfect way of putting it, because I had to conform. If I'd have said anything back in 1975 when I was growing up, I'd I'd have probably been at the bare minimum laughed at and lost all of my friends. So you just kept quiet, because why would you want to lose your friends? At the end of the day, your friends create who you are in life, and I wanted my friends around me. And just because I felt wrong up here and in here doesn't mean to say I wanted to lose my friends.
Yep.
Far from it.
Absolutely, because you've still got that emotional connection. It doesn't matter what gender you relate to.
Totally.
So, I suppose completely backing the truck up for those that are new to this whole concept, give us Transgender 101.
So you want to know what it feels like? Okay.
Number one, what does it mean to be transgender?
Okay, so for me, the long and short is this. I was born, as far as I'm concerned, it's a common phrase these days. Everybody tends to know it. I was born into the wrong body.
Yep.
And my mind and my body didn't match up. My heart was telling me I was female. My mind was telling, well, at the beginning, my mind was telling me I'm a freak. That's what it was telling me. I genuinely thought I was a freak because I couldn't marry it up, Glenn. I couldn't work out why my head, my heart, and my body were all in conflict. And actually, Caitlyn Jenner said it the best when she said, when you look in the mirror and you cannot see anything looking back, you know something's wrong. So for me, the problem is I couldn't see who I was. And that was a very difficult thing to deal with. And it meant that I made erroneous choices in my life. It meant that I went down the wrong path. And it was only a matter of time before that exploded. And for me, that started exploding when I started experimenting with my mum and then my sister's clothes and started getting into their makeup and things like that. But what that created was its own monster, because I started living a life of lies, cloak and dagger, smoke and mirrors is how I put it in my book. And that is not healthy in any way, shape or form. I met a most beautiful woman when I was 17, and we started going out when we were 19. She ended up as my wife, beautiful woman. But the thing is I didn't treat her right, Glenn, because all the time underneath was an undercurrent and an undertone. And it was, for me, it was just living a life of conflict all the time. Not a healthy situation.
It's that whole duality of who I really am and who I think I should be.
Wow. You know what? I even say that on stage, and you've picked up on that already. That is exactly the crux of it. All my life, I fought to be the best man I could be in a man's environment. And yeah, I was very successful in retail, and I could have carried on. Did I have a story to tell on a stage? No. But the thing is I just weren't being the right me. And because of that, I stopped being a good husband. I started causing conflict and started arguing and definitely playing my part in rows, and it was only ever going to be a car crash.
Yep.
So the problem, you said duality. That's absolutely right. The person I wanted to be, I tried to suppress, because when you meet somebody that you fall in love with, you'll do anything for this person, won't you? I mean, she literally was my heart and my soul. I would have done anything. I still would, to be fair. We're not together, but I still. But the thing is I couldn't be who I needed to be, but I was telling myself all the time that I can do this. I don't have to tell anybody. And I literally did not tell anybody of my holy grail, which was always to transition and make the outside look like I was on the inside.
So 2 wonderful kids with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful children. One born in 2004, one born in 2008. My son, nearly 15. My daughter's just turned 11, and fabulous children. I don't see them as much as I would like to, and little difficulties just recently, but they are the blood that courses through my veins. They are what I live and breathe for. So it's a bit difficult at the minute, Glenn, I've got to say. Um, but it's giving me the freedom to rebalance my life and get everything sorted out. You know, it's helping me to steady a challenging ship, which can sometimes come with being transgender. I'm not saying that transgender have it any worse than anybody else or anything like that. Not at all. I'm just saying that it can be a bit of a challenging journey. But yeah, two beautiful children.
Challenge. I would actually challenge and say that I wouldn't say that you don't have it any different than anybody else, because you've had, God, how many years? You had 40-something years of internal conflict. That must have just completely messed with your head.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. And I'm not blind to that fact. And I don't think anybody else is either. I don't dwell on it too much because it has been difficult. It's been like when I'm on stage and I'm delivering my talk, I often say, so now from the 23rd of May 2014, that was the day that my wife told me she'd fallen out of love with me. I decided I wasn't going to lie again. And I always say to people, so on the 7th of September 2014, this is when the fairy tale started. Now, the thing is, Glenn, with every fairy tale, there are always horror stories, isn't there? You think of any fairy tale, they always have a terrible twist in their tale, don't they? That's the whole one. And mine has been no different. And actually, in a strange sort of way, 48 years of my life was, you know what? In a man's world, it was okay. You know, I was able to suppress my desires and just get on with life. But then on, chaos ensued, and life has been a real challenge. But I try to not focus on that, and I try to turn everything into a positive. There's a lady who I adore called Taz Thornton who always says, flipping the negatives. So try to flip the negatives. So whenever I see an obstacle, I always see an opportunity. And things are a little difficult sometimes, but you know what? It's about dealing with it, and it's about understanding that I'm on the journey from A to B, and B is where I am totally happy in life, and I've got all the financials covered, and my children are chatting away to me, and I'm happy in life, and my wife's talking to me. But that's a fairy tale ending, and I don't want to get to the end yet, because I've got 40 years ahead of me, hopefully. So I'm not even sure I've just answered your question there, but it sounded good to me.
Absolutely. I love how you say that you choose positivity, because when you're going through crap, it doesn't come naturally. You need to make that conscious choice. And I love it where you say, if they insult me, then I think at least they're not insulting somebody else.
Very well remembered. Yeah, I do say that. I wrote it in my book, and I talk about it everywhere I go. And that is absolutely true. I am very much, and this has been said of me a lot of times, is I'm very much a sponge that can just take it and then drain it away. Not always, okay? And I do have, I don't mind admitting on air that I have my own counsellor, well, sort of a change management kind of person, because I think, sometimes you just have to let that stress and challenges out. But yeah, I don't, I genuinely do not worry about people having a go at me. Yes, they can be a little bit too nasty, and I have had 3 hate crimes. One of them went to court and it was dealt with. The other 2, I decided not to, because I don't want to send people to jail. I don't want them to get sentences. And when it comes to people being nasty in public, I genuinely think, well, do you know what? I think I look pretty decent. So you're just having a go at me for who I am. And actually, the problem is yours and not mine.
It's a reflection of their problems, not any problem that you have.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah, totally agree with that. So, you know what? At the end of the day, it's all about mind powers, isn't it? It's how you're going to react to a situation. I'm at the crossroads of a brand new point in my life, and that point might be 12 months long, but I'm currently weighing up my options as to where I go from today, almost literally today onwards in my life. Now, I could think to myself, oh, I haven't got enough money, or, I need to see the kids, I need to do this, I need to do that. But you know what? What's holding me back is just me. There's only me holding me back. Now, if I start thinking about all the big things that are holding me back, it's just a negative that then I have to start dealing with. And I'm not having that, Glenn. Totally not having that. If I'm going to stand up on a stage and I'm going to say to people, you can do it if you just want to do it. Put on your own oxygen mask before trying to save everybody else. Then I've got to do it myself, haven't I? Well, how can I be... Right, the word authentic is branded around LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter all the time, isn't it? But actually, there's a good point about authenticity, and that is that it's crystal clear, and that's the point. I try to be as crystal clear as possible. There are things that I wrote in my book, which means that, what's the point of not being truthful about everything in your entire life? Because I literally got every skeleton out of my cupboard. And for me, truth, authenticity, honesty just shows respect to everybody. And that's all I'm trying to do, really.
And on the lighter side, you must have had some hilarious moments navigating through this whole world.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm not exactly what you would call a wallflower. I'm a bit of a prickly rosebush. Let's get that out of the way now. And so I think that opens up a massive opportunity for me. And I can be a bit cheeky. I can be a bit naughty. When I'm on stage, I can say things to the audience which maybe other speakers can't possibly get away with, and it opens up a whole new opportunity of talking to people. People will stop me in the street, especially girls, when I'm like today, because I've come to a speaking event before speaking to you. I have done my LGBT rainbow eyes because I just love that feel. So I'm sort of known for having rainbow eyes when I go to speaking events. But if I go out of a night out, I'll get 5 or 6 girls all want to know about my eyeshadow and this, that, and the other. And you can guarantee that people will ask you about your sexuality. But the thing is, transgender's about gender, not sexuality. Yeah. So you know what? Instead of being offended by that, I tend to embrace it, and I'm not about to come up with jokes while we're talking, but you can imagine the kind of jokes that I have, and because I'm very quick at the one-liners, I'm very quick at throwing in naughty comments, and it really, you're absolutely right. I've had some brilliant times. This is a great one. Blokes. Why is it that blokes, you, not me, right, you, why is it that blokes, when they get to traffic lights, pull up at the side of you and think they can burn you off? Why do we do that? Because, do we not, right, me, one thing I haven't lost is I haven't lost my predatorial instinct. So if somebody challenges me to a competition, I'm not exactly going to turn it down. And I think they're a bit shocked sometimes when they take me on. It also plays very well when it comes to playing poker as well, actually, because people think you're a bit of a pushover. Oh, well. And I just want to say as well, Glenn, that, for me, my transition isn't just about transgender, okay? I need to make this very clear. I'm absolutely passionate about diversity, inclusion, equality, the BAME community. For anybody who doesn't understand the term BAME, that's Black, Ethnic, Minority, and Asian, and also women. I work very, very hard on my social media to try and push that. I've rebranded myself as the transgender speaker because, what I thought, Glenn, was, why am I fighting against it? I am transgender, I'm a speaker, why am I fighting against that? But the thing is, that's not just what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make the world a better place. That's all I want to do. It's not a big ask, is it?
Mm-hmm. So I have this drum that I beat on quite a regular basis in and around this. And people start to take affront when I begin, because I say, I do not believe in diversity, because when you start trying to tick a diversity box, diversity in its nature is divisive. We should be working towards an inclusive culture rather than a diversity policy. Because if there is a policy, it can actually, I think, drive division between workmates, between colleagues, between all of that. And the change needs to come from leadership making inclusive decisions based on merit, based on just personal attributes and everything like that. And who gives a shit about all the other stuff? I 100% agree that we need to start fostering growth and leadership opportunities across the board. And I think there is a massive opportunity for the youth of today to get opportunities to shadow leaders in businesses and politics and all of those sorts of things. And when you can start introducing young, whether it's women or people from different ethnic backgrounds and things like that, if you start introducing those people at a young age, it's those young people that will actually have the impact on us pale, stale males that are holding the power. It'll help us make the mental shift, not a policy shift.
And I don't argue with anything that you've said there. You see, I think of diversity in a slightly different way. I think of diversity like, for example, when you walk into a superstore and you want to go to the beans counter, you won't just go for... You will walk in and you will see 20 different styles of beans. You have a choice of which one to take. And that's how I see diversity. I don't see it as... what you said about a tick box exercise to make sure that you are being diverse. I think it's the right person for the right job all the way, every time. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah. So the landscape has changed. The landscape has changed dramatically since you were young. What do you think now for anybody that is just not sure of themselves? That think that they may be transgender, or they may be, as you thought back then, they thought you thought something was wrong with you. I think, is it different today with the advent of technology and the ability to Google pretty much anything? Do you think it changes the psychological impact, or does it just make it easier to understand?
Do you know, honestly, that is such a great question, because you're right. The landscape has changed that much that there is a world of opportunity now. One person said to me just recently, why are so many transgender people coming out these days when they didn't before? Why is suddenly a blah, blah? Well, the reason is because people have got access to information. So when it comes to somebody now, they've already heard the term transgender. They've already heard the term cross-dresser. They've already heard the term transvestite. They know the difference. And there's a massive difference between a transvestite, a cross-dresser, and a transgendered person. And they now have access to that information. So there are opportunities for people to reach out. Here in the UK, they can get in touch with mermaids. They can get in touch with the Anthony Higgins Trust, which is, one's for the children, one's for the teenagers. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
But they will guide people through. And do you know what? There seriously are some people that may think they are female, and actually, they may be gay. They may just not quite get it. But these people are experts at working it out.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we finish up, I want to ask you around LinkedIn, because You're an absolute powerhouse on LinkedIn. You love it. And people love you on it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get the hate too, as everybody does when they stick their head above the parapet. How has LinkedIn played a part in your life in the last few years? Because it's a big part of my life, and I see it having such an impact in so many different ways, not just in business.
Yes. Well, I only started on LinkedIn in November 2017, and I did my first ever post. And by April last year, I only had 45 followers, and they were all within my business, the business I was working for. And then by a week later, I had 302 connections, and this morning I've got 6,200. And for me, what it is it's been a guiding light, and it's helped me to blossom, because I started doing vlogs as well as blogs, and I started putting stuff up there that just meant something to me. Now, yes, I did get a lot of people who, added in the hate bit and this, that, and the other. But just recently, I think because I've got that much of a following, those people tend to stay away quite a lot now, because they tend to get rounded up on. I've got an awful lot of followers who are very supportive of me. And I think probably nurture me a little bit, maybe mother me a little bit, and look out for me. So I don't think many people come on for that reason. But what it's helped me to do is become the woman that I am and be able to be strong. But the other thing it's done is it's got me on stage. My sole mission in life now is to be a professional speaker in my own right. Yes, I'm a professional speaker. I've been paid for gigs all over the place. But I mean, the only job I ever do. So I can share my message with everybody, but it's not about the message of transgender. It's about the message of just being human, which is the name of the book that I'm currently writing. Does that answer your question?
That answered my question beautifully. And to your point in and around, you were getting the hate and it seems to have dropped off. And all of the LinkedIn training that I do, I'm a massive believer in this, is if you are true to yourself and you have your opinions and you absolutely stand by them and you speak your truth over and over and over again, you create your tribe. You create those people around you that will support you, and those that are the haters end up falling away because they get drowned out by the positivity around those. And the people that don't resonate with what you talk about, they're never going to do business with you anyway. And being a LinkedIn, being a professional platform, if you're after speaking gigs, if you're after consulting gigs, that's fantastic. It actually helps because it means that you're not wasting time on people that don't want to hear your message.
Totally. Yeah, 100%, nail on the head. That's exactly what's happened with me. There will always be the odd person, we call them trolls, don't we? There's always going to be the odd troll. There's always going to be the odd person who thinks that they're a bit clever, and they're going to put in a cheeky little comment and this, that, and the other. They can do whatever they like. Nothing can offend me. And I just walk on by, quite frankly. That's all I do. I just walk on by.
Well, really looking forward to the new book coming out. Was it Being Human? Is that it again?
Being Human, yes. The first one, Being Transgender. This one, Being Human.
And best of luck with all the other speaking gigs. Looking forward to following you more on LinkedIn and on Facebook, of course. And any final words to just us humans before we sign off?
All I want to say is that it's okay to, look after everybody else. It's okay to be there for everybody else, and believe that by doing the right thing by everybody else, you're going to be rewarded in heaven or whatever religion you are. But the thing is, if you don't put on your own oxygen mask, you can't save everybody else. So for me, it's about, love yourself, be true to yourself, be honest to yourself, and then you'll be able to give and share and look after everybody else so much better.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Get Konnected podcast, brought to you, of course, by Konnected. And if you want a free 20-minute consultation with any of the team, including myself, head over to our website. That's konnector.co.nz, konnector.co.nz. You'll find the button there, click and make an appointment, mention this podcast, and there'll be a little special something in there for you. Thanks again. See you on the next episode.